Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. Proudly hosted by me, Chris Little. Without further ado, let's get started. And welcome to episode 43 of the Lifestyle Chase. I am joined by Arri, McWatt, and Norris. Did I get those names right?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Perfect. Sweet. I was worried about that. Like, sometimes I butcher it, sometimes I get it good. How are you doing today? We'll start with you.
Right. Yeah, really good. Yeah. Just finished a little 7 a.m. workout with Aaron, and now we're here.
All right, Aaron, how about you?
Feeling good.
Excellent.
Feeling fired up. Big Raptors game tonight, so excited for that. So, yeah, like I said, got our workout in, ready for a day.
What is your workout? What did it consist of today? Because I know I've seen a few on social media. What did you do today for your workout?
Today we did kind of a combination of what was actually programmed at the gym yesterday. So we did some bench press to start. It was 4x8, so it was pretty heavy at 70% of your 1 rep. So pretty heavy for bench for that many reps. And then the second part we did, 21-15-9 was the rep scheme, and we did overhead squats at 95 pounds, burpees, and calories on the air bike. So
Nice.
A little cardio, pretty leg heavy.
Yeah.
A little wobbly probably today walking around. We'll see how it feels, but
Totally.
yeah.
When do you find you get the most DOMs? Like second day after, first day after?
Second day after for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
totally.
And depends on the movement. For
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For me, lunges are they crush me every single time, no matter what.
I am like the devil of a trainer. All my clients are having to do lunges like every second day. Not quite, but they're doing a lot of lunges. Helps them with the stuff that they do anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I want to know, because we were kind of walking through the office here, and like it's such a sense of community. It's kind of neat because you're in the clinic, and then we're walking through upstairs, we're walking through CrossFit Armory, and then I know that you guys work closely with Jordan Jeske. Like, did you ever envision that from the start of your career till now that you would have such a community around your career?
Yeah, I think it's super cool, actually. It's a good question. Like, I don't think that we ever envisioned that or envisioned it being exactly like this. But definitely as we kind of branched out on our own 4 or 5 years ago, that was something that we wanted to promote. It's something that we really liked about being in kind of a health and wellness, health and fitness kind of industry, is that you can create that community and create those relationships and make your day-to-day be quite fun. You're seeing your buddies at work, and you get to hang out with good people, like-minded people, motivated people. So it's been really cool. We've been super lucky that we've met so many cool people and had the opportunity to work so closely with like Jordan and the project, and CrossFit Armory has been massive for us, both for community and for our business.
It's awesome. So tell me kind of like the legacy story of your career. Like how did it all start up? We'll start with you.
So I guess it kind of starts back in school. Aaron and I met in physio school.
Okay.
So we became pretty good buddies from there, and we both, when we graduated, we separated and we worked at different clinics, and always were good buddies, and we started going to CrossFit Armory, which is kind of where our community kind of mentality really took off, I guess. We would walk into the gym for an afternoon, evening workout, and we often couldn't get past the entranceway without 2 or 3 people asking us about their knee or their shoulder or their hip, and we liked it, but it was tough to come in and just get an hour and a half long workout and leave. We would always have to give advice or do mini assessments here and there. So when we first started, talking about working with this sort of a community, we joked around, maybe about setting up a table once a week, in the gym, and it kind of snowballed as the gym was looking to expand. We kind of made some good friends with Jason and Aiden and the rest of the owners, and it ended up kind of snowballing and took off, and we found a space that was conducive to both the gym and to build a clinic up front, and we thought we could make it work. And like I say, we had that huge community backing that really kind of just thrust us into it and made us confident that we could make something out of it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
what was the moment like, and I'll ask you this time, Aaron, what was the moment like when you actually found out you could make this work? Like, how did that feel? What doubts were in your head approaching that time? Take me through that process.
I don't know if there really was one single moment. I think it's funny when you think back to how we actually started. Our clinic was designed literally in a Taylor Hall exercise book. We would write down ideas and things we thought about, would this work? What kind of clinic would we want if it ever happened? We didn't really have a set plan to open our own clinic. It just sort of, like Arri said, kind of fell in our lap sort of thing, and then started to snowball from there. So once we had our ideas in place and we had a few different meetings, usually over a pint of beer, to talk about what we could potentially do, we just kind of decided just to go for it and just see what would happen. Like Arri said, we knew we had a community backing here, and that was kind of like not a fallback, but it was a good way to sort of initiate the process and get things rolling. And then we knew with that as a background, we could sort of grow and develop it from there. So I'd say it probably took us maybe a year before we were confident that we were really into it. We would check in here and there, but then after a full year, we're like, wow, we've made it a full year. We're doing pretty well. Like, the lights are still on. We're doing good here. So that kind of got us fired up, and then it just seems to grow every single year. So I don't really think there was one moment where we realized, like, we were doing it or we made it. It was just sort of a slow growth over time, and we're still growing right now. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. What was the moment, and we'll start with you, Aaron. What was the moment when you decided, yep, hell yeah, I'm going to be a physiotherapist?
Good question. So I always knew, Arri and I actually both came from similar backgrounds. I am from Newfoundland and did my undergraduate degree in St. John's back home. And I just always wanted to be in healthcare in some regard. Wasn't really into medical school, that sort of thing, and wanted to find the right sort of career for myself. So I actually moved out to Edmonton with some friends, took a year off after my undergraduate degree, and did some job shadowing with some physios. And it was always something I was interested in and helping people, and having kind of a background in sports and athletics, I think that sort of just kind of tailored me towards the career. And once I did some job shadowing and did a lot of research and kind of got an idea of what the field was all about, that was kind of my moment, I guess, to be like, this is definitely what I want to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What year do you think you found it? Like, let's talk age.
Mm-hmm.
Did you figure it out when you were like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20?
No, I'd say it was after that for sure. I mean, I was probably finished or just about finished my undergraduate degree before I really had a sense of what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
I did a biology degree, so there's a lot of different ways I could have taken that.
Totally.
And that was sort of my decision at that point was, what route do I want to go? What post-secondary or what second degree do I want to go for? And being in Edmonton at the time and applied to physio at the U of A, that was sort of the moment where I got accepted here, stayed here, and then the rest is history. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, Arri, your turn.
I guess, I don't know, I had a lot of physio as a kid. I was always breaking my body in different sports and back and forth to the physio clinic, and my physio was pretty cool. She was a young lady, and she always made me do cool exercises and explained it well. To keep a 12-year-old interested in stretching was no easy task, I don't imagine. So as I got older, I kind of gained a bit of an appreciation for that, and I've got a family that's kind of got a background in healthcare. My dad's a veterinarian. My oldest sister, who I looked up to quite a bit, was a doctor, and I would say probably partway through my undergrad, I kind of decided that that's kind of where I wanted to fit in. I really liked the active kind of workplace and a little bit more kind of personal, one-on-one kind of a feel, whereas a doctor is typically more check-in, check-out, and physio is a little bit more kind of active in that whole process of rehabilitation. So a bit through my undergrad, I decided that's kind of where I wanted to go, and I did my undergrad in Victoria, so on the opposite coast of Arri. And then I've got most of my family's here in Edmonton, my brother and two sisters, and so I moved back and did my master's degree here in Edmonton. And kind of the rest is history. It's a pretty fun field. It's always changing, and kind of got to stay on your toes, and we're happy to be making a little bit of an impact here in our community.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's think back to high school days. What kind of a high school kid were you, Arri? Were you like a popular one? Were you a jock? Take me through the journey.
My high school was pretty fun. I had some real good buddies. I grew up in a small town in northern Alberta in Fairview. And I would say, yeah, our crew was pretty laid back, kind of, I guess, on the popular side, for a small town. We worked hard and did relatively well in school, but also, went to bush parties and played lots of sports. Yeah, it was a lot. I grew up playing hockey and volleyball, and made a lot of my friends through sports and that sort of thing. And so that kind of curtailed. But as we got into later years in high school, those were also the people I was, partying with a little bit and going to bush parties and house parties when kids' parents weren't home and that sort of thing.
It's neat. Like, I kind of look at sports as a kid as being fitness as an adult. So you two are enabling people to have fitness as something long-term and sustainable in which they can get and be around their friends. And also do their parties, whether it be like a keg stand or a nice little soiree with wine and cheese. But it makes it sustainable because it's just about being happy, being around the people that kind of fill your cup and bring you closer to joy.
Totally.
So how about you? What was your high school experience like?
Quite similar to ours, really, in all honesty. Also played a lot of sports, baseball, volleyball, basketball. I rode. That was kind of my main thing. But I was involved in student council. I was pretty active in the community and school as well. And I always did really well, like Arri said. I did well in high school. But I think the biggest thing for me is just that, like, friend group. Coming out of high school with, like, a lot of good friends and, a lot of really good relationships, and then just translating that over into future schooling and future career. And yeah, it's kind of what brought me here, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
Do you find that you've kept in touch with a lot of those people from the high school years?
Not a lot. There's a few for sure. But it's kind of transitioned to, I have friends now all across the country. I have people in Vancouver and in Toronto and all over the place. So it's nice to be able to just connect with them. And if I ever travel to a different city, I always have someone there that I can go hang out with.
Totally.
Yeah, so there's Newfoundlanders spread all over the country.
It's true. They just boom everywhere.
Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to visit in Canada?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Fortunately, I've been to a lot of places. Victoria comes to mind. So Victoria, when I went there, it scared me how much it was like St. John's. It creeped me out. I had a few moments like, am I in St. John's right now? This is weird. Just being like a coastal city. So really beautiful in Victoria. Tofino was awesome. Spent some time in Montreal. I lived there for a couple months. That was amazing. Lots of cool cultural experiences there. I don't know if I could pick a favorite, honestly.
Even just a few, like the way you've listed off a few, it's kind of cool to hear why and the reasoning.
Yeah.
What's the longest trip you've ever done, like traveling anywhere?
Length of time wise?
Yeah.
Duration?
Yeah.
What is the longest trip? Arri would be better to ask that question. Longest one, probably Hawaii. I went to Hawaii for like 3 weeks.
Nice.
That was awesome. That was a few years ago.
Did you stay in a condo or a hotel?
We actually had a kind of like a condo shared with 3 other kind of couple sort of things. It was a big group of us basically. Arri was there as well for a buddy's wedding who went to physio school with us.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. We all got to kind of hang out, cook, party, go to the pool all together as a group, and that was awesome.
Sweet.
Fun.
Have you ever tried camping in Hawaii?
No, I've heard amazing things, but I haven't yet.
I've done 2 trips there camping, and like one of them we were just on the dirt on the beach, and it's hands down the most memorable trip. It taught me the most about myself, taught me a lot about being out of my comfort zone, which helped me a ton in getting into the training industry. You gotta have a pretty thick skin to hop into the personal training industry.
Big time.
But yeah, like travel is so helpful to personal development because you get somewhere that's like throwing you off your game and you're like, I don't know what to expect, and then all of a sudden you get good at kind of working with that.
Yeah.
Alright, it's your turn. What is your favorite place to go to in Canada?
Yeah, good question. I was thinking about that. I love going home to Fairview. So
Yeah.
I'm from a little small town in northern Alberta, and I've got some real good buddies up there. My parents are still there, and I really love going home. I love showing off my town, whenever I get a chance to bring buddies or my fiance now, I was really excited to bring her up for the first time and that sort of thing.
I want to change my answer.
His favorite spot is also Fairview. Yeah, so Fairview's really cool. I got lots of good memories from growing up there. I grew up on a little yeah, it's really fun to go up to. I'm a big fan of going up to Vancouver too. Yeah, I've got some good friends there that I've both through some random connections and also through my schooling when I went to Victoria. A bunch of my friends have moved now to Vancouver, and Vancouver's just a beautiful city, and it's always usually half decent weather compared to our cold winters.
Nice.
Yeah.
So your next question is going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Out of all the trips that you've gone on, because I have a feeling you're a bit of a travel fanatic, which trip sets you the most out of your comfort zone and why?
Oh, that's a good question. There's parts of different trips, I guess, that have set me out of my comfort zone. Yeah, I guess my first big trip, I went with my brother to Australia, and that was just different because we didn't have a plan. I hadn't gone on a big trip before. I didn't know what to expect. I was backpacking. We were staying at hostels that were $5-6 a night, and but at the time I was just rolling with it. I didn't feel I was out of my comfort zone, but I didn't. I quickly made friends with people there and got used to it. There was a couple instances traveling through Russia that got me a little bit. That was probably the most uncomfortable I've been in traveling, just because I ended up. I went to the Olympics in 2014, and I had some flights that got canceled and a lot of things that kind of changed with my itinerary, and I ended up traveling on this rickety old train through the countryside to catch a flight in this other town up the coast in Western Russia. And to be honest, I had no idea where I was really going. Nobody spoke English. I couldn't read the itinerary that they had drawn up for me. Somebody helped me kind of get myself situated on this train, but I didn't know when I was supposed to get off. I ended up having to change trains. Luckily, I met somebody on the train that spoke a bit of English, and they woke me up actually when I was supposed to get off. I was slept right through and ended up somewhere in the countryside in Russia. And yeah, I don't know why. I think it was the end of a long couple of weeks of kind of partying at the Olympics, and I was really out of my comfort zone then. But again, like you said, that's where you learn about yourself, and that was a pretty cool experience. And when I got to a hotel in Moscow and laid down for 3 hours to sleep before my next flight, I was just so relieved, and I was just that was one of the best feelings on the trip.
Yeah.
Right after one of kind of just uneasy. I wasn't necessarily scared. I was just uneasy and didn't know what to expect. Didn't know where I was going.
Totally.
Yeah.
And how was that applied to, let's say, your career, your life and business? What lessons has that taught you in moves that you've made in progressing forward?
It's that, I guess, it's kind of interesting when we were talking about starting up the clinic and that moment. Then you feel like we kind of are doing this. We're making it. Kind of like Aaron said. I'm not sure if there was really one moment. I'm thinking back to when we opened the clinic, and I had quit my other job. That was a really good job. We ended up our construction was delayed here, so we ended up started treating in a small little corner in the middle of a construction zone. I was seeing maybe 4 or 5 people on a single bed with sawdust and jackhammers and stuff all around, and then a CrossFit gym, dropping weights right next to us. And I never really felt uncomfortable. I was just like, yeah, this is part of the process, and in a couple of weeks we'll be in the clinic and I'll have a few more people, and I never really felt really uncomfortable. And I think, part of it can be attributed to some of those uncomfortable experiences where you don't really know where you're going in the middle of Russia, or you're flying across the world with your brother with really no idea where you're staying, and you just kind of get used to it and you roll the dice and you end up, making it through. And yeah.
Totally. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, we're going to talk about stress. When you're in a stressful situation, how do you handle it?
I tend to not get too stressed. We're both pretty laid back, pretty chill guys. I would say, get out, get moving, go for a workout, get some fresh air. Just like things that you would do on a day-to-day basis to keep yourself kind of leveled and straight. Play guitar, things like that. Just sort of things that take me outside of the workplace. I mean, not that work gets me overly stressed, I guess, but if things get hectic and you get a lot of things built up that you have to get done, I just like to get out and move and sweat and just do
Totally.
Yeah.
So if we ran through your weekly routine, what are 3 things that, like, if people are crossing off things that you do in the week and they're eliminating them, 3 things that you're not going to let anybody eliminate?
That I have to do myself, you mean?
Yeah, you're doing them on your own,
Yeah.
but it has to happen. They're non-negotiables.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd say I'm a huge organization guy, so that has to happen for me at home, at the clinic. If things are messed up, around the clinic, I have to organize things, get things done, sort of like set my week out. If I don't do that, I feel scattered throughout the week. So it's always kind of a Monday morning thing to get things lined up, set my to-do list, line up my meetings and things for the week that I have to get accomplished. So that's for sure one. If I don't get that done, I'm feeling pretty scattered, and that eliminates stress pretty much. Outside of that, I don't really know. I don't really have any other specific things, I suppose. Just that's my main one. Once I have that in order, I'm laughing. Then I can get everything else accomplished without really being overly stressed or worried about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Sweet.
Yeah, pretty simple.
That is, and like I like the stress thing because like you're saying things that so many other people say, but you're saying them just with ease. What do you think applied to you having that calm approach towards handling stress?
I've always kind of been that way. I've never really been an overly stressful person. I'm sure Arri would say the same thing about himself, and that honestly is kind of something that when we were first opening the clinic as well, that's something that we both knew would be a huge strength for both of us. We can kind of feed off each other, knowing that we'd make it through and knowing that whatever was thrown at us, we'd handle it. We'd figure out a way to get through it, right? So I think it's just being able to cope with any situation that's thrown at you with confidence, knowing full well that at the end of the day, there's more important things, and it's a little minor bleep in the radar, and it's not something that you need to get overly worked up about. So I'd say that's more the approach that I take on a day-to-day basis in the clinic and in regular day-to-day life too.
That's awesome. And then I like how you talked about organizational, being organized. Where do you think you learned your skills on being organized? Did your parents?
My parents, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
I grew up in a house where everything had its place, everything was perfectly clean and organized, and Arri can laugh at that because he's been at my place before and lived with my family for 6 weeks on a physio placement, and there's no question that's where I got it.
So if you were to describe your parents, 3 qualities for each, how would you describe them? What qualities stand out the most?
Hardworking, for sure. Both of my parents have been hardworking my entire life. I mean, we grew up, we were not super well off by any means. We did really well, but they were very smart with money and hardworking. I guess that would be two things, and just fun. I grew up having fun every single day. There was always jokes, there was always laughter, it was always just a fun time, and still to this day it's that way. So I think those 3 things are characteristics that I've sort of learned from them, and I tend to put forth day to day. It's something
That's
I'm
awesome.
very proud of, yeah.
So Arri, your non-negotiables, your things that people can't take away that make your week happen the way it does.
Yeah, I think I put a pretty high priority on exercise and getting that in. I know that if I neglect that I set myself up for failure. So not that it has to be, not that I'm, Superman in the gym by any means, but just getting out and getting a workout in, whether it's going to a CrossFit class usually, or going for a run, or going to a different class, or hockey or something like that. I gotta kind of prioritize exercise, not every single day, but 5-6 days a week I gotta do something, get myself out there. And then also I think I prioritize some social time.
Yeah.
Every week, same sort of thing. I don't think I set myself up for a good week if I don't get time to hang out with some buddies or have a night with my date night with my fiance, even if it's just cooking supper together and watching TV. Somewhere where you're relaxed, you're not thinking too much about the things that potentially stress you out. Kind of like Aaron, I don't get stressed, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why, is because I put that priority on myself and make sure that I'm just doing things that keep me balanced and not focusing too much on one particular thing that can kind of spiral you downwards.
Awesome. So you two have a pretty big team in the clinic. How many practitioners or professionals work under the banner of Optimized Physiotherapy?
We've got 4 physios, including ourselves, so us 2 and Courtney and Marissa. We've got 2 really wicked massage therapists. We've got an osteopath, Melissa, she's pretty awesome. We've got a dietitian, Jenny, who's also really awesome. And a sports med physician, Dr. Felix Solomon, he's also super awesome. We've got, that's one thing that I think we're probably most proud of is like just the team that has formed under the Optimized banner. All of our front end staff, administrative staff are just awesome. We all fit in really well together. The parties I look forward to most are our staff parties, and I really like getting everyone out of the clinic and having a good time. And our professional team is just incredible. We're always bouncing ideas back and forth. All of us are pretty enthusiastic and hardworking, and you can tell the conversations that we have. We're always looking for the best outcomes for our community and for our patients and that sort of thing. So we're always bouncing ideas back and forth and chatting between professionals to try and make sure that not only are we on the same page, but we're challenging each other to try and make the best situation for our patients and that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're building your team, usually people put their team together with something in mind, like a certain personality trait or a certain mindset.
Yeah.
So what do you look for? And you're gonna alternate. One of you is gonna say a characteristic, then the other one, then the other one, then the other one.
Okay.
Start with you.
So we've always kind of said right from the get-go that whenever we're hiring somebody as a professional, as a therapist, or as a front-end staff, kind of our overarching kind of when we debrief about an interview or something like that, at the end of the day, would you want to go for a beer with that person? That's one of our big traits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, essentially, we're looking for that personality that kind of matches ours and someone that is going to be fun and part of the team.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would say sense of humor is huge. We like to keep everything light and funny in the clinic, and obviously there's times when things need to be serious and professional, and we have a lot of that going on as well, but we want at the end of the day someone that's going to fit really nicely into our team above anything else. Like, we obviously look for skill set and experience when we're trying to hire someone or bring on a new team member, but the main thing we want is someone that's going to gel with our team. So we want to continue to grow, optimize, and make our brand bigger and better than it is right now. And I think having that someone who's laid back, relaxed, that good sense of humor, that sort of gels with our style the best, and that's sort of how we've kind of grown from where we were.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think balance is big for us too. Again, when we interview someone, we ask a lot about kind of what they like to do for fun, and obviously we get through the "are you going to be good at your job" part, and then after that, our decisions are usually based on are you motivated? Are you into taking care of your own body, because we're taking care of thousands of people's bodies down there. To make that work, we want people that are going to be also looking after their own bodies and setting a good example for people. So finding some sort of a balance where people are quite fit and into fitness and that sort of thing, so that we can set a good example for our people. So
I like it.
Yeah. Probably another one would be just like hardworking. Like we've both been. All of our staff they're kind of juggling multiple things at one time, and we sort of appreciate that, the ability to prioritize and balance things throughout their life. I mean, a couple of guys are going to try and get into med school or physio. One is finishing her degree in massage therapy and also has 2 or 3 other jobs at the same time. So that sort of like hardworking grind mentality. That's a huge thing for us with hiring staff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Those are good qualities.
Yeah.
So I want you to think to mentors that you've had in your life, and it can be to like personal times or professional times, but just people who have made a huge impact. Aaron, I'm going to start with you. Think of like 3 mentors and what stood out about them, and how has that impacted you in the changes or choices that you made in life?
I would for sure say my parents. I mean, that's kind of a cliched answer, but like I mentioned before, that's kind of how I became who I am, and I wouldn't be here without what they've done for me over the years. So that's a big part of it. And then other than that, like professionally, I would honestly say Arri. We both met in physio school, but I don't think we would be where we are without what each of us brings to the table. I think for some reason just that gel worked really, really well. And we continuously challenge each other and learn from each other and push each other to be better. So I think that's what you want to mentor, someone who's going to make you ultimately a better person professionally and as a person as well. So
Totally.
Yeah.
That's like part of the reason why I interviewed you both at the same time. I was like, well, I could interview one and then wait 2 months to interview the other. I was like, they're like the closest team that I know in all of Yank Fitness that aren't married to each other. Like,
we basically.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. What kind of stood out about each other that made you think, yeah, I want to do business with this person? Because that's a big commitment. Like once you start a brand and you're working together like that, like you're pretty well locked in. What were the things that stood out that made you decide, yeah, this is my business partner?
Well, I guess it will take you back to when we first actually met for the first time in physio school. We like to tell this story, it's pretty funny. So the first week of physio in the master's program, one of the first things you have to do is surface anatomy. So you go through anatomy. So everyone's very comfortable with each other in physio. It's kind of how you have to be. So everyone tarps off. We're going to be looking at AC joint, insertions and origins of muscles and things like that. So Arri and I didn't really know each other at the time, and then we were kind of next to each other in the lab. So we take our shirts off, and some of the other guys around us are like six packs and shredded and really fit.
Shaved chest.
And then we look at each other and we're like, oh, you kind of look like the way I do. That's pretty cool. Do you want to be partners? So we became partners that day, and we had some laughs, and that's kind of, I guess, what started it all. And and then from there it just kind of grew, and just the friendship. We lived together for a year, 2 years, which was awesome. And we always, I guess, had the same mentality of how we like to treat and how we like to approach physiotherapy as a career. We both worked for different clinics when we first graduated, and we always both separately had the policy of, when possible, curtains are open, patients are chatting amongst each other, we're talking about the game the night before, we're talking about anything that's going on in the community, and it keeps that like friendly, funny, relaxed atmosphere in the clinic, and we both had the same value in that. And that sort of stemmed the conversation for, maybe one day we start our own clinic. That'd be pretty cool. We both had really good jobs at the time. We really enjoyed the first 5 years as a therapist. That's kind of what led us to where we are today. But once that opportunity came, it was kind of a no-brainer to be like, yeah, this is going to be perfect. It's going to be smooth. We're not going to have any problems.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you basically answered it for both of you. So,
sorry.
Alright, your turn. It's going to be 3, maybe 4, whatever. How many mentors you have, why, and how has that impacted you, changed you, and all those things?
Yeah, cool. Again, I'm actually super similar to Aaron. Like my parents were really good mentors for me. They taught me a lot about working hard and grinding a little bit, but also valuing some of that balance and stuff like that. And kind of like Aaron said, we've had lots of good physios that we've worked with. I worked with a really cool ownership group in St. Albert before I came here, and I learned a lot from them. And they were all really sad but excited to see me start my new adventure, and gave me well wishes and some advice on certain things, and which is interesting in a community that is competitive with each other, that they were congratulating me on being their new competitor and giving me advice on how to make things run smoothly and stuff like that. Again, there's a cool community in Edmonton with the Active Physio Works crew, the Pivotal Physiotherapy. There's a bunch of guys there that I know, and that the same thing, were really, really great mentors to get us started. Propel, Lori Kloof over at Propel is just awesome. She's always been kind of rooting for us from the sidelines. Every time we had a chat with her, I got a chance to talk to her about certain things. And then same thing, like Aaron said, we look up to each other, and I think it is part of the main reason why we work so well. I look at Aaron, and sometimes I tend to kind of get tunnel vision and focused on work, and I'll be here, 12 hours a day spinning my tires, and I look over at Aaron. He's just very efficient. He's very organized, like you said, and that gives him a little bit more freedom of time, and he puts a big value on balance and making sure that he's doing stuff outside the clinic, and I take a lot of that in, and then as far as professionally, we bounce ideas off of each other, and we do have a very similar final approach, and it's really good to have somebody that's so similar but kind of different, and we have different kind of perspectives, but we want the same end goal, and it's nice to have that. I've learned a ton from working with Aaron over the last 5 years, but also from just knowing him for the last 10 or so years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I imagine you've probably gone on trips together before.
Yeah.
What's the coolest memory from a trip that you've gone on at the same time?
I would say, so last year, for sure, probably, we went, we had our quote-unquote annual general meeting in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It was the first time that both of us left the clinic at the same time. And I think that was a huge moment where we could safely say the clinic's going to run. We're going to have fully operational clinic for the week that we're away. And we shut our phones off and went to Mexico with our girls. So just had an amazing week, and we had moments of like, I wonder if the clinic's doing okay. Hopefully it's not on fire, and hopefully things are going well. But knowing that we had a really, really amazing team in place, we had full confidence to go and not even worry about a thing. Came back the next Monday, and everything was good to go. So, the aspect of just going on that trip was huge.
That's gotta be
we had a great time.
Yeah. But just like having faith in what you've created, because first it starts off it's your baby. Like you don't want to leave it alone for a second, and then you're putting that faith in other people, and like they treat it as importantly as you do, which is awesome. So taking into account that you're going to be a role model for at least most of your team, I imagine, what's the most ground-shaking advice you've ever given to a member of your team? We'll start with you, Arri. Something that just rocked their world, and they're like, oh, I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think one thing that I try and kind of exude is that you're working with people. There's a lot of ways to accomplish the same task. And when you're working with somebody, when you first come out of school, it's kind of black and white. You see a second-degree ACL tear, and this is how you treat it. This is your protocol. But the patient is always very different. They've got different things going on in their lives. They have different goals, and there's several ways to get a second-degree ACL tear to being healed again, and being very functional. So talking to people through these things, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. Well, did you try maybe looking at it this way, or is that something that they want to do? So kind of treating, I guess, from a professional point of view, good advice that I think I give to people and that I try and kind of hone in on myself is that you're treating the person, and every person is different despite the same injury. And so, you really have to take that into account when you're going through an assessment and a treatment plan, and you want to make sure that you're tailoring it to them specifically, and you get the best outcomes, and you kind of get out of your head. It can be frustrating at times when you want to do something with somebody, and for whatever reason their healing is stalled and they're not able to progress to that point. But you step back and you say, okay, where did they start? Where are they at now? And I am probably doing a really good job with them. Just kind of have to tailor it specifically to them.
Totally, I like that, and that's even transferable for anybody working with people.
Totally, absolutely. It's a big time in the fitness industry, right? I'm sure you see that all the time.
Yeah.
Some people that want to get trained that are already a high-level athlete and they want to make a few tweaks, or some people that are trying to lose 100 pounds. And it's the same sort of idea when somebody's got an injury. Their goals are very different, and the treatment should reflect their goals, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
What about you? Ground-shaking advice.
I would kind of build off what Arri said, but a slightly different twist, I guess. So I guess this would apply mainly to physiotherapists, but also massage therapists, chiros, whoever, anyone in the rehab or fitness community. I always stress to people, when you get into these programs, so we get into the master's program at the U of A, you're in a group of 70 to 80 super competitive people for 2 years straight. You finish your degree, and there's this like somehow this weird thing where everyone's very competitive to complete as much extra training and as much extra courses as they possibly can, which in one sense is really good because it drives you to do more and learn more. However, I think a lot of times as a new grad coming out to work in the clinic, it's almost a detrimental thing for them because they get this focus on just learning, and they don't take the time to establish their personal skills and their relationship building with clients and with patients. And I think that probably is more valuable to us now than any course we've ever taken. Like, the courses are awesome and we all have different skill sets with, needling and spinal manipulation and whatever, but the ability to connect with a patient immediately goes a lot further than any course you can ever take. So I usually encourage, especially new grads and younger people, like, don't rush it. Like, take your time, develop and hone in your skills that you have, and focus on your relationship building and establishing that rapport with clients. I think that goes further than any course you can ever take.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about ladies in life. You've alluded to your fiance a bit. How did you two meet?
We actually got set up on a blind date.
Nice.
Yeah, one of my buddies in the gym was dating a girl and her roommate was single and set me up on a blind date, and I'm sure I was pleasantly awkward, and it snowballed.
There she goes.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what she was into apparently. So, yeah.
And like, what stood out about her? Like, we've talked about business partners. Now we're talking about the romance side. Like, what qualities really resonate with you?
Yeah, she's a really cool girl. She's very laid back, easygoing, adventurous. She loves traveling. She's a great athlete. She played soccer all through university and professional soccer over in Italy. She's got a little bit of that exotic tinge to her. Her family's back in Italy still, and
Score.
yeah, she's great. We got along really well. We can talk about a lot of stuff. There's a big comfort factor there, and and then over the years, when we started getting a bit more serious, and since we moved in together and stuff, I just love the way that she's supported me when I end up having a 12-hour day, and between the clinic and other things that I got going on, and I come home and just want to veg out on the couch. She's welcomes me with open arms and usually has something cooked. She's a foods teacher, which is incredible.
Oh, nice.
She's an amazing cook. Yeah, loves to throw parties.
That works well.
Yeah.
So was that the first time you'd ever been on a blind date?
No, I'd been on a couple before. Yeah, and that was easily, obviously, the most successful one. But it was definitely the most comfortable one. She made it pretty easy.
Awesome. That's cool. What about yourself?
I guess I have two ladies now because we're expecting a baby in July.
Very exciting.
Up. So I met my wife Carolyn at the gym, actually. So classic gym romance. We kind of hit it off right away, and at the time, Arri and I were actually living together, so one of the jokes was that we were both dating her at the same time, so that became quite hilarious. So things were amazing, and she's a huge help to me and to us as a business as well. She's an accountant, so a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff is helped quite a bit from her, so we don't have to wear as many hats as we typically do. So she's amazing. We've been married for a few years and expecting a child in July, so we're stoked.
What are your biggest fears about going into fatherhood?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I don't really have any specific fears. I think I have a general fear in a good way that's kind of driving me to get everything ready and prepped and be ready to go. And I touched on that earlier about like my work life. I have to have everything like ready and lined up and set up and organized. So I would say that's kind of the biggest fear is just being ready, and I will be.
Yeah, totally. It's like, can I organize this enough?
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah, I got this. It's just a matter of time. The time is ticking away pretty quick, so a couple months to go.
Time flies, and there's so many people just in sort of the fitness or extended fitness community. They're expecting kids right now, and for me, I see that's super exciting because for myself, I totally see myself being a dad one day, but obviously I have to get a few other things taken care of to make that happen. The other day, my mom made this joke. Well, I was telling her about that the girl that did the it's the awareness about global warming, and she's doing all those speeches, and she was like, if we do not make a change in like the next 2 years, there will be irreversible consequences, and your grandchildren will not live the same life that you do. And I was telling my mom, I was like, you know, and my grandchildren will not live the life that I do. And she's like, how the hell are you going to have grandchildren? Mom,
Thanks,
that's
Mom.
mean. Moms have the best burns.
Yeah, always. They know how to really cut you deep.
Yeah, they got him. So then that's why I bring that up, because I'm like, this whole thing is kind of about the overarching pursuit of happiness and like people striving for their best life, looking for like what they want out of their career, things that they enjoy doing. And when you get different people with different backgrounds, with different skills, and they're telling you their best advice and like what kind of makes them happiest, there's always a takeaway. Whether it's somebody that's like a high-ranking professional or just like somebody that's just enjoying what they do for their job. Because happiness isn't necessarily rooted around our income or our money. It's just about how often we have a smile on our face and how genuine that is. We're going to go to some rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
And this is one that I've gotten a lot of critique about, because people are like, well, why do you ask that one? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I like that food. So, you first. Pizza or what is it? What was it? Damn it.
I'm going
Donairs. Pizza or donairs. There we go.
My gut says donair pizza, but you know what? I'm going to go donairs. Yeah,
Nice.
Love them.
What's your reasoning?
I guess there's lots of late nights on White Ave. Yeah, the big rugby ball sized donair. Yeah, crush a few of those and
Jumbo with cheese.
I can't do them anymore, but yeah, jumbo. Yeah, super jumbo with cheese. Yeah.
So do you think your East Coast background has any correlation with your love for donairs?
Probably. However, the donair is more of a Halifax, Nova Scotia thing.
Oh, that's
not
fair.
so big in Newfoundland. It would be more like fish and chips.
Okay.
Yeah, fries, dressing, gravy would be my go-to.
See, I learned something new, because I was just like, is it sprinkled all over the East Coast or
Mostly
is it specific
Halifax, yeah,
regions? Nice.
They had a battle recently, the guy on White Ave, and there's the king of donair in Halifax.
yeah.
They had some sort of social media like battle about the best donair. Yeah.
Who won?
I'm sure they both won. 'Cause
Everybody's eating donairs,
Yeah.
real happy.
As long as everyone having drinks first, everybody.
That's true. That's true. How about you?
I'm a pizza guy.
Nice. What kind of pizza?
Pepperoni bacon.
If you were to order pizza from a place, where would it be from?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because if I want wings, I'm going Golden
What
Crispies
if we
from
want
Pizza 73. If I want just pizza, I like the mom and pop shops. Like, I've got a place right by my house, Stone and Wheel Pizza makes incredible pizza. Royal Pizza, which is a little bit smaller, makes really good pizza. There's a little pub opening by my house called Mimi's that's got a big pizza oven. I think I'm going to be spending some time there. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So, next quick question. What's your favorite local business to support? When we're going to talk about just under the food banner and just not pizza or donairs. We got to broaden our horizons here.
Favorite local business to support? I mean, I'd have to go with one of the fitness community. Obviously, like, we're huge supporters of CrossFit Armory, who helped get us to where we are for sure. And then, like you mentioned earlier on, like being the old neighborino over here, Jordan Jessica at the project. Love supporting him and everything he does, and I love the energy he brings every single day. I mean, he pops into the clinic literally a couple times a day and just sticks his head in, see what we're doing. I love that. I love the fitness community in general. Arri and I always try and do what we call them fitness field trips.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll go once a month if we can. We'll go to Champs. We'll go to Cycle. We'll go to some sort of different spot. So I don't think I could really pick one. I think it's just cool to change it up and support any sort of local business in that community.
Yeah. And like, I have to give you a shout out because I did my event last year, the Crystal Bow Crushing event. You were both big supporters of that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like, you can see it. You can see when you guys are going out to the events, it takes a lot of guts to go to like a spin class just on a whim, to go to a Champs class, and it's always the early morning ones that you guys are going to too, and it's tough grind.
Yeah, we get crushed.
And I remember, I think it was the first time I saw you guys around was at one of the Egg Fitness events, and it was like the Tight and Bright thing.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, you two were the only ones who gave me a run for my money on like males dressing up, and I was like, huh, these guys are pretty legit.
I was for like a week after that.
Oh, those
the
just
bar class, yeah.
bars. Oh, you never talk shit about bar because they'll get you.
Yeah.
And they sneak up on you with those pulses and
Oh,
stuff.
the pulses
Just
are.
kicks your ass.
So, alright, what's your favorite local business or businesses to support? And you can't name any of the ones you have.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, well, we are big into the fitness community. Oh boy, I was really gonna backpack on that one. Piggyback.
No more.
I like a lot of our local food in Edmonton.
Yeah.
We've got an incredible food and craft beer scene and that sort of thing. One of my really good friends, her brother owns Ben Stick Brewery, so we always want to support them. We do support them. Yeah, we try to support them quite a bit. So usually, actually, at our staff parties that we have, we always try and find different local food and drink, and we've been pretty much consistent with Ben Stick because it's kind of almost in the family a little bit, with Don Schwartz being a good friend of ours, and it's her brother Scott that owns the brewery. I love that fried chicken is making a big comeback. Because I'm a big fried chicken guy. So Northern Chicken, Soul Fried Chicken is pretty incredible. And I love just trying out the new little places.
Awesome. Yeah. Then we're going to segue on to travel. Aaron, if you could travel anywhere in the world, and it could be for 5 months, where would you choose and why? And you're considering that this is for 5 months, so you got to factor that into the decision, into your rationale.
I'm going the sentimental route, and I'm going to go back home.
Nice.
I left Newfoundland in 2007, and I love it in Alberta, and it's my home now. We have a clinic together, and we're having a baby here, but I'll always have those roots, and I just love Newfoundland so much, and a lot of people don't get the opportunity to see it. For me, like for 5 months, I could do so much there, see some old friends, do some hiking, do some camping, do some fishing, golfing. Like it's just such a slow, laid back, relaxed pace every single day. Like my first day back, whenever I go back for a trip, I'll be driving and have this like inbred thing to like go fast, and then everybody else is just like the light turns green and people are like, all right, I guess we'll start going now. And just slowly, and everyone's at a slow, chill pace, and there's something that that's amazing, and I wish more people had that attitude, and every time you go back you instantly just get that feeling, and I think for 5 months, no problem, amazing, I'd have a great time.
And that's a cool takeaway. Like, I think we're so geared towards what's ahead of us that we're like go, 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 and we forget what's around us. Like every day is worthy of something. You get this chance to wake up and see these people. Like I look forward to my podcast because I'm like, these are quality people that I get to just hang out and shoot the shit with.
Yeah.
And then I record it, and then I have that. That's like a memory.
Yeah.
And other people can look at that, and
That's cool.
it's neat. And it's just that sort of mindset of like being in the present and in the now and enjoying what we have, because we don't necessarily know what comes up tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So it's your turn. 5 months traveling somewhere and your rationale.
I would want to be somewhere warm, I think probably Australia. Somewhere on like in Melbourne or on the east coast of Australia. I love being outside. I love summertime in Edmonton. I would miss hockey a lot, so maybe I'd go from May to September, kind of those 5 months. So I'm not missing too much of the hockey season. I would love to be somewhere warm and similar to Aaron. Actually, I like the laid back kind of just everyone's kind of working and doing their thing, and but there's no hurry. You're kind of, when I travel through Australia, I love that bit. And I mean, maybe it's because I was traveling with other travelers and hippies and gypsies kind of type people who are just there to drink and party and figure out where they're going tomorrow when it comes up, kind of thing. But it's really cool culture there, and seemed a little bit more laid back and a little less kind of rat race type atmosphere this year.
Totally. Like I've talked to a few people in my travels that came from Australia, and just like there's certain things that really correlate with Canada, and then there's certain things that are like, oh wow, like you guys really do take your partying seriously.
Yeah.
Or you guys really are living your best life every day.
Yeah.
So if you had a list of 10 things to do in Australia, what would that list be?
I would learn how to surf for sure. I love
Okay.
to surf.
Comfort.
Oh man, you gotta just 10 more things.
The one thing that you missed it or Tana missed it?
Oh yeah, I would see two kangaroos fighting. Yeah, when me and my brother were traveling, that was one of our biggest things. We're like, okay, if you see any kangaroos, like we want to know if we can see kangaroos fighting. Like that's kind of our big thing for seeing in Australia. And we were traveling on a bus somewhere, and I was sleeping, and I kind of woke up to lots of commotion on the bus, and I looked around, and everyone was kind of looking out the window, and I looked out and couldn't really see anything, and I asked my brother, who was sitting there awake the entire time, like, what happened? And he said, oh, there's 2 kangaroos fighting. I was like, man, you didn't wake me up? Like, are you kidding me? So I would see 2 kangaroos fighting. Yes, I would definitely want to do that.
That's awesome.
Traveling up and down around the coast, and I would learn how to play Aussie rules football.
Yeah.
Super into Aussie rules football when I was there, and I actually lived with a guy from Australia who's into it. And yeah, I'd be a big Cats fan and cheer for the Cats of the Aussie Rules Football League.
Nice.
What else would I do? I would not eat their pizza or barbecue sauce. Some about it. Maybe it's just the ones that I had, but it's different from what we have here in Canada. I'd have to go away from my usual kind of pizza and barbecue sauce diet here in Canada. Switch that up. Lots of ocean swimming, scuba diving. Actually, I would love to go scuba diving in Australia. We've gone scuba diving a few times, and the reef in Australia, just from snorkeling it before, is incredible. I can't imagine what else is under there. It's pretty cool. I would definitely want to continue being a physiotherapist in Australia. They have they're kind of setting the gold standard on manual therapy. So a lot of our techniques that we use and that are taught in universities in Canada and courses in Canada are developed and created in Australia and New Zealand. It'd be really cool to work with some people over there and kind of get their perspective on how to treat injuries and their perspective on rehabilitation and physiotherapy and that sort of thing.
Totally.
Yep. And I would say, I don't know, I'm going to say I'm at 9, so
Yeah.
my 10th one is do a regular, especially if it was like CrossFit or something, outdoors and incorporate sunshine and beaches and stuff into a regular part of my workout regimen. I see lots of these gyms that are like, they have like an open wall on them, and there's the beach on one side and then the gym is under a little roof, and super cool to have that transition. Like, here we open up the big doors and we run out onto concrete, which is great. I love it when it's warm. But to run out onto the beach and go for a swim in the water after workout would be wicked cool.
That's awesome. And it's cool that you talk about like physiotherapy in Australia, because my cousin, for example, she I think she's got her doctorate beyond physiotherapy, and so she moved to Australia and then speaks at events all around the world.
Cool.
And I would have never guessed that that's like the hub,
Yeah.
or at least a leading area for physiotherapy. And then one of my friends that I went to high school with for a few years, he did his kinesiology in Edmonton and then moved to Australia to do his physiotherapy. So it's cool, and it's neat to see how interconnected the world is.
Yeah.
I find more and more often, everywhere you go, you're gonna at least find someone that's from the place you're from if you don't know them in person.
Yeah, totally.
So my next question, and this is the question I ask every one of my guests. We're gonna start with you, Aaron. If you could give one piece of advice to someone on how to live your life to the fullest, most authentically, what would that piece of advice be?
I would say, back to that sort of hard work thing. So, your alarm goes off in the morning, wake up, crush it. When your day finishes at work, take your work hat off and relax. And there's more to life than just work. We obviously grind and work hard every day to be where we are, but we do it so that we can enjoy the rest of our life. I think that's the most important reason why we do what we do is, we're not in it. Obviously, we're in it to make money. That's a big part of business, but we're in it to grow our brand and grow Optimize, but we're doing it so that we can enjoy our lives outside of the clinic. And that's why I became a physical therapist, was to have that flexibility and have that time. So I think the biggest take home piece of advice is, wake up, work, start the grind, and really put your 100% effort into it. But when the day is done, relax, shut it down, wind it down, and appreciate what life's all about and what really matters.
That's awesome. Your turn.
Yeah, I think surround yourself by wicked people. I got an incredible kind of crew around me, and my good friends, and near and far, and similar to Aaron, the fun things in life, things that people think are fun, and going on adventures and going to a patio and having beers and chilling out. It's all accentuated. It all feels better. You get more out of it if you've worked hard. Besides trying to make money to do those things, I find I always feel better once I've accomplished a task and I've earned my relaxation time, my vacation time, all that sort of stuff. Keep it balanced, work hard, and you'll not only will you make the money and means to get to that end, but you'll enjoy it more. It'll be worth more. You'll feel like you've earned it.
Awesome. Great talk today. I'd like to thank you both for joining me, and we'll just wrap it up.
Thanks so much for having us.
You bet.